50, 55, I don't know. There are professional athletes that you don't go up to. Like, for example, Bill Russell. Now, you're too young to have seen him play, but he's still alive. He played for the Celtics back when they won 9, 10 in a row. And some people think he's the best player ever. I don't, but he was a great player. You don't ask Bill Russell for an autograph. He will not give one to you. And it's not that he's, it can come off as rude, but that's his policy. He does not give autographs. So you learn those types of things. Those are the elements of the context. Another element is the temporal element. It's the time dimension, the sequence of events. So, for example, going back to the batting practice, let's move on to basketball. Let's say the team comes out and they're warming up and stretching, and you think, well, now's a good time to go ask this guy for an autograph. Well, maybe not. Think about what's going on. Think about the time, the window. Usually they reserve times for autographs. I finished up last week watching the last episode of The Last Dance. It's the videos, the 10 videos on Michael Jordan and the Bulls. And one thing I thought was interesting is that every time they show Michael Jordan coming in to the United Center, driving in, he's in a different sports car. It's a Porsche one day, it's a Maserati, and but anyhow, it showed him stopped at a light, and a kid jumped out of a van and asked him to sign. It was a real little kid, and he stopped and signed it, and then took off. Not everybody would do that. Actually, I was surprised that Michael Jordan would do that. He's kind of, from the videos, one thing I took away was that his world is a world that most people don't want. And you think, boy, I'd love to be, in his shoes. But once you see that he has absolutely no time to himself unless he shuts the door and he's by himself. He can't run out to the 7-Eleven and get a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. He can't do that because he would be swarmed from the second he got out of his car. For one thing, you're going to recognize the car. He has vanity plates on all of it. So it's learning when to, good times to ask questions and converse with people. And we've all learned that, haven't we? Do you know people who are just a little bit not totally socially not acceptable, but immature socially? And one of the things that they might do is interrupt and ask the wrong questions at the wrong time. Well, we beat that up enough, but you get the idea. Context. All right, let's talk about nonverbal communication. The first URL there is an article, and you can look that up if you want. But I did want to show you, and I put this up since you may have copied it out. This, if it comes up all right, it's going to be a short video on Ben Heller, pitcher for the Yankees. Anybody ever see him pitch? Know who he is? Ben Heller, pitcher for the Yankees, and it was about a week and a half ago. He hit a batter. And I want you to watch the nonverbal communication that occurs here. Okay, let's see here. Hopefully it works. Okay, Okay, we gotta watch this commercial for a second. Okay, I don't know if we're gonna get the volume or not, but here's Ben Heller. Yeah. Now just watch his gestures. Okay, let me go back. Watch from the second he hits him, when he turns around, and watch what he does. It was 94 mile per hour pitch. See, he turned around and he was kind of disgusted with himself, and you know, the kind of the universal, hey, I didn't mean to do that kind of deal. Okay, now what happens is the umpires get together because there's a recent rule that apparently says that regardless of whether it was intentional, you can get canned. So watch this one umpire here. Okay, he just threw him out of the game. Manager comes out. Now, obviously, we can't see everything because he's got a mask on, but he's questioning. And Ben is talking to the umpire. He doesn't get a whole lot back from him. Okay, watch his expression. He knows the cameras are on him. He's kind of making his case, pleading his case. Okay, so he's out of there. An interesting thing here, a sidelight to this. I had Ben Heller in class. He's a graduate of Olivet Nazarene University. And I had him in a couple of classes, actually. And he's a real laid-back guy. He's kind of quiet, sat in the back, didn't say a lot, but it was interesting watching his initial reaction. He turned around and, he was disgusted and so forth. And I thought, man, that was just like what I remembered. What I'd really like to know is what was said between him and the umpire. Now we can kind of see his face as he's talking. We can't tell what he's saying, but we know he's not really getting anywhere with the umpire. Now we've seen other situations, haven't we, by non-verbal expression. There's a video out there. If you really like to watch sport videos, there's a video out there of he played for Kansas City. I forget his name, but anyhow, he is back. They determined he had too much pine tar on him, and they declared, they threw him out, and he comes running out onto the field like he's gonna, with the bat, like he's gonna attack. It's a classic. And we've seen other, examples of players that, what was interesting, I thought about this was, did you see that the batter did not charge the mound? Why do you suppose that is? Because, it was a 94 mile per hour pitch.
He knew it wasn't on purpose.
He knew it wasn't on purpose. He could tell the pitch got away from him. And one other thing I've heard is that if we could have heard the audio, somebody makes a comment that this is the nicest guy. He does not, there's no way he did that on purpose. So he got caught in the system and got thrown out. By the way, he is 29 years old, and he's gone back and forth, back and forth. If you wondered about, what do these guys make? I'm not privy to his salary exactly, but I do know that when he was going, the coach at Olivet told me that when he was going back and forth, they send him down to AAA, and then they call him up. And then he gets sent back to AAA, and then they call him up. And if you look, you can go online and see this stuff. But he was telling me that with the minors, even AAA, you don't make that much money. I mean, it's fortunately his wife is a teacher, but I don't know, 30, 40, something like that. Yeah, it sounds like a lot right now to you, I'm sure, but when he goes to when he gets called up for the weekend, he signs in a whole other contract for like $500,000. Now, obviously, he doesn't get $500,000, he gets whatever the paycheck would be for that time, based on $500,000, which would be the minimum for a MLB player. Then he goes back to AAA. The last I saw was that he was sent back. He played a few more days, and then maybe last week or something, he was sent down to AAA, but minor league ball has been canceled. So I don't know what he's doing. But kind of an interesting aside, if you will. I find this really interesting. Have you seen these in football games where now the latest thing is they hold up these signs that make absolutely no sense unless you're privy to it? My comment there, what kind of problems would there be if you mixed up Elvis and Fred Flintstone and Superman? What am I supposed to? Well, obviously they mean something. I guess they're signs that supposedly part of the signs that the opposition isn't going to be able to read. Any of you play baseball here, or have played baseball, and you have watched signs from the third base coach? Okay, are they? No. Was it in high school? Okay, was it in high school, Mr. Perry? Okay. Were they difficult signs, or was it just like a few, and you just had to memorize like a basic sign, and then the coach throws in a lot of irrelevant signs?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, you get the idea? There's only 3 or 4 relevant signs, but then they mix it up with all these irrelevant, which is what they're doing with these visual signs here. This is all nonverbal language. Now, sorry about it's kind of hard to read here, but these are forms of nonverbal communication, and these are in the text, and you do need to understand what these are. I'm sure you'll see them in some manner or form on your midterm exam. Some of them you can get by the word itself. Others are unfamiliar words. Haptics, the idea of touching. We can convey lots of messages through touching. Now, that's kind of the whole idea of touching within sports has become just a no-no. You have to be careful, especially men coaching women. Now, we're getting a little into the topic of coaching and sport and society and sports psych, but it's relevant here. Ladies, were you ever on a team that was coached by a man? You are now, right? Okay. okay, so all of you have. Different than being coached by a woman in a lot of ways, right? In terms of the communication, in terms of the way that they can communicate, okay? The whole idea of haptics, kinesics. Now you might think it has to do with I don't know what you might think, but it has to do with hand gestures and signs. So when you see somebody, and you can't hear them, but you see them waving and so on and so forth, that's a way of nonverbal communication. Proxemics, perception and use of space. Now, we are in social distancing here, so normally to illustrate this, I would come and put my face right up in front of somebody and, almost, even in a demonstration, you would get uncomfortable with that. I'm invading your space. But if I'm a coach and I'm trying to get something across, Woody Hayes used to, when he'd get mad at players, he'd grab their face mask and pull them close to him. So the proximity suddenly becomes inches. And he did this a lot with Art Schleisner, who was the quarterback back in the early 80s for Woody. He did that a lot with him. He grabbed his and pulled him forward like that. And we see that a lot of times with basketball coaches. Bobby Knight used to love to get toe-to-toe with players. And so, physical characteristics. I find it interesting on TV, when they interview players after the game, how that player is dressed. Have you noticed that? How different players, especially NFL and NBA, how they're dressed after the game for, some of them are mandated to do interviews. So some players come out in a suit and tie. Others come out, you wonder, do you care about how you look, to the millions of people? And obviously you don't. Let's see. I'm trying to think of somebody in particular here. Come to me later. Artifacts, display of memorabilia. Letter jackets. Any of you have a letter jacket at any time? Still like everybody? No letter jacket? Okay. All right. Letter jackets go way back. I find it interesting to see on some letter jackets, it's just the name of the school letter, or they'll put down the sleeve or on the back everything they do, each sport. Or particularly, I've seen this in like track, where they take individual medals that they've won and they pin them on there. So you think that they'd be walking around like this, so side heavy on the coat. That's a message. I'm telling you that by doing that, I'm telling you that I won this particular event at this meet. And I don't have to explain to you. You see it right there. That's a way to non-verbally communicate. Environmental factors. Here's a good one. If you're a coach and or a teacher, if you've got something to say to somebody, like if I was really seriously upset with something you said or did in class, now it'd be real easy for me to blow up in here and point you out separately, and it makes me look bad, it embarrasses you, and nobody else knows what to do. Okay? Instead, I've lived long enough to know that, no, I say, come outside here, let's talk about this out here. And immediately that that tends to lower the, the stress. We've all seen this before. Vocal links, voice inflection. And I try to inflect my voice to some degree in class. You'll see times when the pitch of my voice will go up or down, and I'm trying to make a point. Now, it's speech, but there's also a nonverbal effect that you get. How about silence? That's a really uncomfortable one. Now, after a while, you're going to fall asleep if I stay quiet. But that's one thing about these masks. I can't tell what you're smiling or grinning or sticking your tongue out. Silence is a real, when I ask a question and I don't get an answer, I don't wait too long, if you've noticed. I don't ask a lot of questions of you, but when I do, I don't wait for too long. I should probably wait longer, but it's uncomfortable. Mostly for me. I'm tempted to just answer my own question, but I do want feedback. Silence, man, that is one of the, it is an ironic element of nonverbal communication because it is nothing, but yet it is powerful. Silence. Coaches use it all the time. Teachers should use it more, probably. Chronemics. This is the perception and use of time. Now, you'll see me look at my watch here. Oh, I should have stopped at about a half hour and a half. Okay, well, it's going to be about half this lecture, probably. We're going to stop here just a minute, though. I try to use the time to the best of my ability in terms of, you see me look at the watch. I try not to go too fast, but then I don't want to go too slow that everybody gets bored, or I start boring myself. You learn that with experience. Perception and use of time you learn with experience, regardless of what your job might be in the sport industry. All right, we are going to stop it there. I'm hoping that Thursday we might get our speaker. I'll let you know. So we're kind of in the middle of talking nonverbal language. Make sure that you review that if you would.